What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Take. Today we're in a 2017 Subaru Forester XT Touring. We have the owner Nathan with us. You may remember him from his Golf R video. Unfortunately, that car now needs an engine.
Yeah. Big sad.
So yeah, big sad. But Nathan, tell us a little bit about this car. It's your daily driver.
Yep. 2017 Forester XT. Bought it November 2020 with about 30,000 miles on it. I'm the second owner. It's been a Michigan car and it's a Subaru, so it's definitely kind of rusty. But it's been pretty reliable.
So this is a detuned lifted WRX. So the XT means it gets the WRX engine. So it has 250 horsepower-ish, roughly. And then we have bigger front brakes. We don't know if there are any other changes. All of it will be in the description below. So I'm pretty excited to hop on the road today. We do have a CVT transmission and see how it drives.
Have drive modes like the STI, but they don't do nearly as much. It's basically just forces the CVT to keep it in a,
the higher RPM or
lower fake gear.
Right. So does the CVT simulate gear? It does simulate gears, sort of.
Yeah, it's basically a chain belt, chain drive.
Right. So some initial impressions. It is an SUV. It rides pretty nicely over these bumps. You actually feel a lot of these imperfections, but it's still very soft, and I wouldn't say it's jarring or anything like that. It does feel really sporty though. It has really good pickup. Like I don't even know if I gave it half throttle pulling out, and it just kind of got right up to speed. I feel like this, I'm less on the gas pedal than I would be in most other cars. Like this car kind of just wants to go.
I think the turbos might be slightly smaller than in the WRX. Which is where the power difference is coming from.
Right.
If you want to put it into either one of the S modes, it will get a little bit more of a sensitive throttle.
Yeah.
Right below your cancel button on the right side of the steering wheel.
Okay, so is that Sport, like Sport Plus?
Yeah, it's the one on the right is S mode, which is kind of in the middle.
We'll try that.
Yeah, it's a lot less aggressive than Sport Sharp. Sport Sharp will be really aggressive in terms of trying to keep it in a lower gear.
Right.
But it is not a good transmission, so it'll feel very rubber bandy.
With the Sport Plus?
Yeah. Sport,
okay.
Either, all of them, honestly.
Oh, fair enough. Oh yeah, I see it does. Yeah, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't really simulate gear shifts. It just kind of drops and then like.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, I've driven CVTs before, but never in anything with an engine that had any guts to it, to be honest. It handles these turns pretty well. It's very composed. I'd say about as good as most of the cars I drive on this road. A little bit of body roll in this one.
Yeah, quite a bit.
But for a car of its size, not bad. It's interesting, they give you paddles. So if I flip a paddle, will it just...
Yep. Yeah, it goes into
a
brief manual mode.
But
it goes away unless you move the shifter over.
Okay, it dropped out really quickly. So if you move the shifter over, does it then just always...
Yep. So now you're in
5. Yep. Okay, so it does simulate gears. How many
8
gears? 8.
Yep.
Okay, so it simulates an 8-speed. So 5th, 6th. Ooh, we have a performance menu.
Yeah, this is the performance-ist option.
What boost does this hit? This is peak 19.4. Is that
yeah, 19. It's rare to hit that. I usually don't see more than 17 or so.
Okay. Yeah, so small turbo makes a lot of boost. I guess we'll just do automatic. All right, so let's lay it out here. I know what you mean now by the term rubber bandy.
Yep.
It's so the CVT like emulates shifts, but it doesn't. It's not like a regular automatic where you feel like it grabs the gear and then it goes. It's like it almost there's like a weird pause. It drops, but it's a soft engagement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they really don't want you being high up in the RPM. It's definitely like a efficiency based.
Right, yeah, very efficiency-based design. It's not meant for what we just did. But for what it is, I don't think this is awful. I think the bigger concern with CVTs is that they're not very reliable or cheap to run.
Yeah, that's if you read the forums, that's like the main thing that people are paranoid about is the CVT failing.
Yeah, the CVT fluid's expensive. They're finicky transmissions. You're supposed to change the fluid like every 20, 30,000 miles?
Yeah, depending on which owner's manual you read.
Right.
In the US, you're not supposed to ever change it, so that explains why some of them blow up.
Right. Yeah, if you said in Japan, they recommend every 20 to 30,000.
Yeah, I think it's like 25 or something.
Right. Which makes more sense. Spin to the brake a little bit. Okay. The pedal's kind of mushy initially, but
yeah,
once you get into it, it has enough.
All the ones I test drove all had that mushy pedal. This has had a brake serviced not too long ago, so there's...
It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say it's terrible. This is definitely better than most Econobox brakes. You can tell that they're better, but the pedal certainly isn't better.
No.
But we're trying to judge Econobox by performance car metrics. Although it is the XT, I guess the XT is not a very aggressive performance pack, so to say.
No. Some people do a like STI brake retrofit, and that'd be cool for looks, but I don't think that this car really, that kind of thing matters very much.
I thought the 3.4 is actually pretty smooth in this gearbox. The 3.4. Power's in a weird spot because it's not fast, but it's much quicker than your average car you'd find on a highway, I guess. Like, this is probably faster than most Camrys on the road or Civics, but it's not anywhere near like even a WRX. Yeah,
it's nice to have if you need to pass someone in most situations, but anyone with an actual performance car is going to be faster.
Right. I wonder what the 0 to 60s are on these. I bet it's like 6 something, maybe 7.
That's a good question.
That would be my guess, just based on feel.
Car and Driver says 6.3.
6.3. Okay, so yeah, definitely below 7 seconds.
Yep.
That's pretty good, actually.
And I think the car is pretty stable up to 100. Above 110 feels not good. So.
What are you going 110 in this car?
Yeah, it's not the best.
No, not made for it. Now, so it does have some of that Japanese car like tinniness to it. I hear that rattle in the back. That's
that sound.
Okay, yeah, it's that sound. I don't even know if the video is gonna pick this up, but the rear, is that like a third row seatbelt?
Nope, that's the middle seat in the rear.
Oh, it's for the middle seatbelt's in the ceiling.
Yep.
Interesting. That's a weird design. I kind of like it though. Yeah, so the third seatbelt in the rear rattles constantly.
And it's always been like that.
Yeah, so it's not even a function of age, it's just a function of build quality. I mean, it's a Subaru, you think it's a Japanese car, it shouldn't be that expensive to run, but compared to like, a RAV4 or a CRV, Subarus are sort of like buying a Volkswagen instead of buying a Honda.
They attract similar people, and
yes,
I guess they got me. So
true. You own a Volkswagen.
Yeah. This has been much less expensive. It's also almost entirely stock car.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hope this wouldn't be as expensive as your tracked out Mark 7 with the TCT.
Yeah. Nope. The quote unquote mods in this car are mud flaps, and that's really about it.
Mud flaps?
Yeah.
Oh, those are very functional. A lot of the slower cars are more fun on the street than the faster cars because their limit's so much lower, so you can actually achieve it.
Yeah, the limit on this though is very low.
Yeah.
It is not hard to get the tires squealing.
Yeah, we haven't done that today. but we also haven't been pushing it that hard.
Yeah.
I'll try this corner up here. What were you gonna say?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say it's also it's really easy to overheat the brakes, I found.
Aha.
If you're driving it like, you know, it was actually a sports car.
Definitely had a lot more there than I gave it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think relative to your Golf, the limit's definitely low, but relative to most econo boxes, I think this does all right.
Yeah, if this were lowered and had sway bars, I think it'd actually be pretty good. I don't feel like putting the effort into this car for that.
Oh no, there's no point. It's a daily. It's supposed to be cheap.
Yeah. But
well,
neither of those things would really add running cost. It would just be the effort
to put it on.
Get into the suspension on a rusty Subaru.
Yeah, right.
I think the common thing people do is they put a WRX or STI rear sway on and call it good.
Makes sense.
The tires are also, you know, really high profile compared to like an actual sports car would be.
Of course, it's an SUV. It's gonna have a lot more sidewall.
Yep.
It's also partly why it rides so nicely, though. Yeah, even though I pushed it a little bit. I tried to see if I could hear some tire noise, but
yeah, I can show you if you want. It's not that exciting.
Yeah, fair enough. Now I go through that with the Camry, although that car has so much fun. That is one of the most rolly cars I've ever driven, and that car, all you have to do is just jerk the steering wheel back and forth, and it's rolling.
Yep.
And the tires are crying for help.
It's a fun car to take out in the parking lots in the winter, do donuts.
Go have fun with.
It's impossible to get stuck. I've tried. I mean, unless I was literally in a ditch, I've never had a problem.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's what these are for. This is for off-road, well, off-road. Snow, the crappy weathers. I mean, you go on a dirt trail in this, you're never going to be concerned. When it's the winter time, it's just going to keep trucking along, and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it does have an off-road mode, which I've never used. It only works at, like, you know, low, like, crawly speeds.
She's got some get up and go.
Try going to S sharp instead. There you go.
Ah, oh, so it makes the gearing closer.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's all made up, so.
Well, yeah, right, so they can do whatever they want. That's actually cool. Yeah, the gear spacing's much closer. Even like 3 to 4. It was much closer in the RPM, didn't drop it as much. That's a cool feature, actually. I kind of like that. I see what Subaru's trying to do. They're trying to add some sportiness to transmission, give it a little bit of character, which I like, because that's really a lot of people's biggest gripe with a lot of modern cars, is they lack character that old cars have. But even they added technology like the CVT, okay, it doesn't have any gears, doesn't have any character. You can simulate the character and sort of get that similar level of experience. And even the shifts, for what they are, it's a little rubber bandy, like you said, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, yeah. It's all right.
Yeah, I've looked into a manual swap. Unfortunately, it's really expensive because the ECU has no support for it, so you have to run a standalone.
Yeah.
And that's obviously another $5 or $6 grand on top of everything else.
No longer becomes very feasible in your daily driver.
Yeah, I mean, it's, well, $8 grand with a tune, so. Ugh.
So most of that is just the computer.
Yeah, I think
that sucks.
I think a Motec is like $5 or $6 grand.
We've now finished our test drive of the 2017 Subaru Forester XT. And overall, I enjoyed it. This wasn't really its natural habitat, because the natural habitat of a Subaru is in the snow and the dirt, which we may take this out again in the winter. But even on some back roads, throwing it around, it was fun. It carries speed really well through the corners, especially for its size. And the CVT, while it's not as communicative as a regular automatic transmission, I get what Subaru's trying to do with it. I like it. The simulated gears add just a little bit more character to the car. So thank you, Nathan.
No problem.
We're coming on the channel. With that, let's go ahead and give it a score. The score is as shown. We don't have any other SUVs to compare it to, unfortunately. The highlights were the daily scores, utility is high, and it gets good enough MPG for an SUV. However, the weekend categories lack, as you would expect. Should you buy it? The Subaru Forester XT is okay. The Forester performs well as a daily driver, ignoring the seatbelt rattle and the lackluster infotainment system. But this car lacks in the fun department. I was hoping for so much more out of this car. Subarus have a reputation for being a fun brand, but with the CVT gearbox and an overly refined engine noise, I feel like the car could have been so much more. Add in the extra maintenance cost of the turbo engine, and that begs the question, why buy the XT package over a base model with a base engine?